One of the basic skills required in many jobs is an ability to handle money, to make calculations, record sales, satisfy cash customers, arrange credit, and make change. As a bank teller, Pam handles money every day. Pam was the first of 6 people interviewed, including Tim, a cab driver, Kathy, a waitress, Martha, a supermarket checker, Debbie, a saleswoman in a record shop, and John, a salesman in a men's store. These people all work with money on their jobs. In a bank, almost every transaction concerns money, either cash or checks.
My job is basically cashing checks, taking savings deposits, checking deposits, and loan payments. And there's a form for everything I do. I have to keep track of every penny. Most people just don't trust you with their money. They keep their own records. So in front of the customer, we make out a receipt and, on the same machine at the same time, we record the transaction. We have to record everything we do with the machine or on general ledger tickets. In order to avoid any error, I have to check everything. On a savings account, say, I check the balance and signature. It's for the customer's own security, so no one else can get money out of the account. Each night, we end up with a certain amount of cash in our cash box. It's called our closing cash. We also open with that amount the next day. Of course, we're responsible for the money we handle.
When you're working with money, you need enough cash to start the workday. Pam's closing cash will provide her with enough money to start the next day's work. Tim, on the other hand, has to provide his own change.
Yeah, the cab company recommends we start off with at least $10 in change. But I usually keep a little extra in my wallet, just so I don't have to stop someplace to break a 20 if someone gives me one. The first thing I do is check out the cab. Then I count my money and read the meter. I mark down the mileage so there's a record of how far I go and how much I make. At the end of the day, I have to check the meter again, fill out the form, and hand it in to the dispatcher. I'm pretty careful with filling out the forms. You see, I get a percentage of everything on the meter, but I can get docked money if there's a mistake. Once I'm on the street, I'm on my own. I work with money all day, taking fares and making change. Oh yeah, sometimes it works out even, say $2 on the meter. But that's not always so good for me. You see, when you're driving, you have to depend on tips to make a living. A $1.65 fare might hand me a couple of singles and tell me, keep the change. But a $2 fare, it might be easier not to tip me at all. That's no problem, though. Some days are good, some bad. It all works out. I have to split the money on the meter with the cab company, so I've got to keep a record of where I take people and how much the fare was. I usually do best downtown. Short hauls with business people, shoppers. That racks up money fast on the meter. Sometimes I have a long haul, like out to the airport, and get a nice tip. That helps, especially if I can get a fare coming back downtown. Another thing I have to do is keep a record of all the tips I get, so I can declare them on my income tax. The tax people are pretty strict, believe me, so I have to do some careful paperwork. But I guess that's just like any businessman, really. You're working with money all the time.
In many ways, Tim's job is like Pam's job in the bank. He has to handle cash, keep accurate records, and work with the public. Both Tim and Pam have service jobs. Kathy has a service job too. She's a waitress and handles money, but her job involves more than that.
The money work involved in my job is mostly collecting money, returning change, and keeping track of each customer's check. You've got to make sure that your checks are all perfect. You've got to be accurate. You have to get accustomed to the menu and learn the prices. As soon as you have the prices in your head, you can save yourself a lot of time when you write up the order. You have to be honest and accurate. You try to be calm, methodical, orderly. Then, when people order, you'll be paying attention to what they say, and it'll be registering in your mind. At the beginning of your shift, you have to go to the cashier and sign out your checks, your customer receipts. They're all numbered. You have to account for every receipt in the pad. You have to be careful with your check. It's pretty easy to lose one, you know. If you lose a check, or if somebody walks out without paying, you'll have to pay a fee for it in our place.
Besides taking money, in some restaurants, a waitress may also handle the cash register and credit cards, as well as her own tips. A retail sales job, selling products, also involves skills in handling money. Martha is a checker in this supermarket.
Every checker has her own cash drawer, and to start the day we get 2 5s, $50 in ones, a roll of quarters, a roll of dimes, a roll of nickels, and 2 rolls of pennies for making change. The office takes readings of total sales rung up on my cash register several times during my shift to make sure there aren't any discrepancies, and then just before I go off. I'm a checker, so I handle money all day, and most of my job is using a cash register. You get better with a cash register. After a while, punching the right numbers just seems to be automatic. You just know where the numbers and keys are like you would on a typewriter. But while I'm working the cash register, I look at the amount on the item, and I look at what I ring up. I make sure it's correct. To avoid a possible misunderstanding, you keep the customer's money in sight until you've finished making change. You have to be quick so you don't make people wait. But you have to work at your own pace. If you hurry, you're bound to make mistakes, like charging too much for an item, an overring. Then you try to take it off another grocery item. But if you can't, you have to cancel the wrong price out and correct it at the end of the bill. Then you have to write up a cancel report sheet and have it okayed by the office. In our state, you have to figure in the sales tax too. After the items are totaled, we ring up the amount of tax on the register.
Debbie handles money for goods too, but she needs different skills and knowledge in her retail sales job.
We sell records and art supplies, and, I really enjoy it. You have to learn about the things you're selling and about your store, and you have to ask questions. It's the only way to keep up with your stock, your inventory. I guess you could say that money is half of my job, and the customer is the other half. Your attitude is important. You realize that you have to make money for your store. We accept checks up to $50, but we need a person's identification and phone number. A driver's license is the usual identification. We also accept returns and give the customer credit on a new purchase. It's our store's policy.
Debbie knows her job, handling both customers and money. Let's take a look at one more retail sales job. John is a men's clothing salesman.
To make a sale, you have to find out what the customer needs, what he's looking for, and you try to help him. Quite a few customers ask my opinion. You tell them what you think, and you know what it does for them. The more you know about styles, different fits, and the customer's needs, the better you'll do. And that's where the money comes in. For convenience, a lot of our customers use credit cards to charge their purchases. Very often, the customers will spend more with their charge cards than they do with cash. In our store, if you don't know the customer or if he's charging a large amount, you call in and give the number of his card to make a credit check. Anyone can make a mistake, so just as a customer will look over the bill and count the change, we check credit cards. If the card is okay, the store will give you an authorization number to mark on the form. You can also check the revoked card list to make sure the card wasn't lost or stolen or out of date. By following the rules, both the salesman and the customer are protected.
Each of the jobs we have looked at, as well as many hundreds of others, require an ability to handle money accurately. Safely, rapidly, and honestly. This is one of the most basic job skills.